Welcome back to the Surrey Hills. We're looking at another key physical element of our skills model, which put together builds up the strongest riding, the best practice that we can apply when we're out on our bikes. This issue we're going to be looking at speed control. A lot of people misinterpret speed control as purely slowing the bike down and braking, and obviously that's an important part of the process, but it can also apply to accelerating at the right time, controlling your rate of acceleration, and not just coming to a halt. Like all of our physical elements, it's actually intrinsically linked to the way we apply and use the other elements. So it's tied in with footwork, looking, body position, entry, section, exit, and of course energy management. So none of these elements really work to their fullest in isolation, but if we polish them up, put them back into the whole, our riding will get stronger. Of course, there's no pecking order in terms of the 8 physical elements that we apply when we're riding, but more than anything, speed control is one we all rely on as a first port of call once things start to shut down, once we start to respond to flight or fight inputs when we're on the bike. So if you reach a point where you start to lose emotional control, reaching for the levers and slowing things down is a great way of buying your body, buying your brain time to sort things out and make its next decision. That on its own isn't necessarily a good thing, and quite often actually what we need is a bit more speed. So good braking technique is important, we're going to look at that, but also knowing when to accelerate, when to do your braking and how to do your braking is going to make sure your ride is more fluid, less jerky, and you're carrying the right speed at the right time. Although developing the skills of speed control can have a massively positive effect on your riding, when we respond to flight or fight signals and purely brake for comfort or respond in a way that is unplanned, that speed control can actually be detrimental to our riding experience. Before we actually look at the practical application of speed control, let's look at some setup tips. Some of these are very important to the actual operation of the brakes. Other things are going to actually have knock-on effect in terms of your body position and how you control your body mass as you brake. So I'll pass you over to Josh with a few tips on the setup side.
So obviously the most important thing with braking and speed control is our brakes. We want to check they're working, make sure they're bled, and hydraulic disc brakes have a bite point. So if you've just come new to biking, you've just started riding on just hydraulic disc brakes, make sure you know where that bite point is, because if you get it wrong it will snap and it can chuck you over the bars. Also check your pad life, make sure you've got lots of life left in your pads and they haven't worn out over winter, and this will make your brakes work a lot better. For where your levers are on your handlebars, it's important that you set them up so that you're not using your whole hand to brake and grabbing onto brakes, and because this can cause snatching your brakes, which can throw you over the handlebars. So just think about maybe 1 or 2 fingers on the brakes, and where on your lever you've got a nice little arch, you can just rest your fingers in there, which gives you a nice comfy position to ride in. Another thing about the levers is how far high or low down they are. What we want to do is be able to drop our wrists into the bike and still be able to reach the lever there. So think about maybe lifting up your lever a little bit, just so that when you do drop your wrists in, you can still reach your lever and brake properly. If you've got your levers pointing too far down on the ground, it forces you to bring your wrists up, and what that means is really easy just to slide off when you get any force coming into the front of the bike. So really think about having your levers up a little bit more, so you can really drop your wrists in. If you put new pads into your brakes, you've bled them and they're still not working very well, you might have contaminated the disc or contaminated the pads with a bit of oil. A common one is GT85 or something like that. So just make sure that they're nice and clean. You can buy disc brake cleaner, which just cleans that all off and makes sure they're working properly.